New York City artist and agitator Shilpa Ray releases her Portrait of a Lady, a concept album about being a survivor. The songs range from the darkly humorous to harrowingly realistic and are inspired by the likes of Ministry, Billy Idol, and the work of photojournalist Nan Goldin. Shilpa doesn't hold back, so be prepared to be confronted as she opens up about making this very personal yet political album.
So I'm just wondering if you can just give us a little summary of how this record came to be, when you started thinking about putting it together and recording it and writing it.
The concept came to me years ago, actually. I was hired to sing vocals and for some duets with Andrew Bird, because he was doing a show at Carnegie Hall and they were looking for a singer based in New York. And so I did some work with him. And I think on one of the songs, I couldn't reach, there was like an octave and a half jump and I couldn't do it in rehearsal. And I tried and tried. And I was like, I can't do this. You kind of like give me this look like you're going to get this. And I just couldn't do it. So when we took a break from the sound check and the show, I needed to go for a walk because I had to clear my head because I had to figure out, because I wanted to, I mean, if you're singing at Carnegie Hall, you don't want to mess it up.
Probably not.
Probably so I took a walk and I walked into MoMA and there happened to be an Nan Goldin exhibit.
Right.
And I walked in and I saw the portrait of her face completely, like a month after her boyfriend at the time had beat her up.
Oh, geez, yeah. And
it was just so powerful. And I know, like a lot of women, I've gone through experiences like that too.
Yep.
It's not uncommon. I think the more we talk about it, the more we realize it's not uncommon to
I'm afraid.
go through that.
Yes.
Which is kind of a shame and it's scary.
It's not good. No.
No, it's not. If that's the coming of age to be a young woman in this world, it's
not even the young women who have to put up with it.
No, it's like every woman. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, so I saw that and it totally, like, it just shook me really hard. And I had been a couple of records deep by that time. And I was releasing another record called Tour Girl. But when I saw that portrait, I felt like I had never written anything in my life. You know, like that feeling of like, I've never done anything. Like this is insane, you know? So I had that feeling when I saw that portrait and it inspired. I was like, how do I put this into my own experiences? Like receiving this information, how do I put my own experiences into what I do, which is music? And it was like that moment when one artist is communicating to another artist. And that felt great. Needless to say, when I walked back in and had to perform it with Andrew at Carnegie Hall, I did hit the note.
You nailed it.
So I think it's like the whole thing just kind of like melded into this one experience that was really intense. But I don't know, there's just something about seeing her work that just made me want to really dig deep into myself and my own experiences and put a record out.
Right.
I've definitely been accused of writing about my personal experiences, but actually I'm pretty shallow in that regard.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do anyway?
Yeah, I know. I don't know, man. I don't know what people are expected to do these days. You can't be overly sentimental. You can't do this. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe those are the criticisms I get, you know.
Right.
But no, it's very tongue in cheek with me. With most of what I write is pretty abstract, actually. I'll just take an instance and like run with the experiences. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not.
Right.
But I've never gotten this like far into my personal life. Like that was very scary and very dark and very necessary. But the whole process of making Portrait of a Lady was really difficult. Everything about it was difficult.
So when you went to record, did you have all the songs kind of written and conceptualized?
Yeah, they were all fleshed out. It took a long rehearsals getting those arrangements down. I it was nuts. It's really difficult also to be a female and be a band leader. That's like one of the hardest.
Still, I mean, it's still,
it's hard for male band leaders, I'm sure, but
I would guess it's not as hard.
No, it's not. I mean, people really don't take it seriously.
Are just like, I'm in charge. Let's do what I say, you know?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Everybody
like,
goes, yeah,
like,
okay.
No one would ever look at me and be like, yes, that's what we're going to do right now. No, that's never happened to me. I think in recent times it's gotten a lot better because I've definitely switched my lineups out and stuff, because I really need to be heard and I really need to like put down what's in my brain.
Yep.
And need to communicate that. But no, it was hell. There was nothing about making that record that was easy until I met up with my co-producer, and he just saved me. He like really understood exactly what I needed and really like helped me sort of just take the bullshit out of the room and just sort of concentrate on exactly what we needed this to sound like.
And without, is this person Jeff?
Yes, Jeff Berner. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you find him, and what made you realize it was going to work with him?
We met up. He was the guitar player for Psychic TV for a really long time.
Right.
And I had played with the drummer of Psychic TV for just like a one tour type deal, and we had met through that experience. And he was just like, I record and engineer records and stuff, and you should work with me sometime. And we started by doing these like 7-inches or like these singles where I would put down a cover or like one original that was a stray. And that's how we started working together. And then we did Door Girl together. Mm-hmm. And I had a great experience with that. And then when it came to this album, it was amazing because I could really tell him exactly what was going on in my brain, and he could understand how to engineer that into what I needed it to sound like.
Right.
Without driving myself insane. Yeah.
That's great. You don't want that. So what, in the studio, do you look at it as trying to capture a performance, or are you putting something together that's more like layers and textures and more thought out?
It depends. I've always been more of a live performer than a studio performer. Like I'm not a rat in the sense that I'm not someone who constantly is at the computer. I have to organically make music, you know? So I'll just do like really short recordings or very basic recordings of stuff. But if I can't perform the recording, I normally don't really mess with it too much or do it the opposite way. Some people are like that. Some people are very much into their computer programs, and they'll have the synths and they'll start arranging things that way, and then they'll write songs like that. I can't do that. I have to sit in a room. I have to write on a piece of paper and not have like technology around me in order to write something. Yeah. So I do it the other way. But it is performance for sure. But this particular record, it was kind of a mix of the two, because I had just gotten off a tour before recording the album, and I got really sick and had burned my stomach lining from eating food and drinking too much food that wasn't good for me, and drinking too much, which caused a lot of problems with my voice. And I had to change a lot of stuff along the way, but I had to see a doctor, and all this other stuff happened. So I was, for the first time, I couldn't really sing things live.
Gotcha.
Which I'm always singing stuff live. I'm always doing a one take, and then I'm like, fine, you know, and this was the first time I couldn't do it. I think there's a few tracks on there where the original vocal was kept. And then there's a few that I had to go back and I had to do over again because I sounded just so ill when I was singing.
Right. And did you find out what the problem was, or did you have to just work through it?
Yeah. I mean, I had to change my diet. It was just, I had a burned stomach lining.
Oh, okay. And that affected the throat and everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So the songs that comprised Portrait of a Lady, just the song titles themselves, some might find somewhat confrontational. So do you think about that when you're going, okay, we got bootlickers of the patriarchy up next? I mean.
Yeah. People get really weird about stuff like that. It's interesting to me how much you get censored if you're doing music that's in the realm of rock or punk or whatever is indie, which is like one of the safest styles of music is indie.
Sure.
Like there's nothing safer than that. You get chastised a lot for using curse words and using lewd language and stuff, but hip hop, you can say whatever you want.
That's true.
And that's why it sells. That's why people listen to hip hop, because it's real. That's why it beats like rock and roll. That's why kids don't like rock and roll, because it doesn't walk the tightrope. It doesn't say anything anymore. And it's become this medium for like, I work a 9 to 5 and I need background music, and it doesn't have that element of danger that it used to. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have the element of storytelling that it used to.
Right.
So yeah, I do get a lot of flack from people for saying the things I say and not always being PC about them. But you know what? I'm a writer. I don't care. I need to say exactly what I'm seeing in front of my face. I can't play along with these rules. Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So with that in mind, there's a video for Manic Pixie Dream, and I can't say it.
Yeah, you can't say
it. You can say it, but I can't say it.
It's cunt.
I know.
I know how much people in New Zealand love that word too.
Actually, that's true.
They do.
But yes. Anyway, and the video is fairly awesome. Was it directed by Amos Poe?
Yeah.
How did you get that to happen?
I'm a manic pixie dream cause I'm a manic pixie queen. Yeah, I'm a manic pixie dream cause I'm a manic pixie dream. Oh, I'm a manic of yours morality.
That was a great pandemic discovery. I found him on IG and I was like, I have to be friends with this guy because he made these movies that were so influential to me, like every great New York no wave film from like the 70s. Like he made that stuff along with others, but like, The Foreigner, and it was just nuts. And I had to be friends with him on Instagram. And then one day I was, we had nothing left to lose, really. There was a pandemic happening. Everybody was sick and there was nothing to do. So I was like, I got to just hit him up and see if he'd want to do a video for me with found footage. Cause I think he would just like rule it, Right. And he was just so cool. He was just so nice. He brought me back right away, checked out my stuff, and we've been friends ever since.
And the video is wild. And I think I saw a little bit of polystyrene in there, from X-ray specs.
Yeah. It gets the way my vocal goes up on some of the things. Yeah, totally. There's definitely a bit of her. She's great. I remember the first time I heard her, I was watching Sid and Nancy, and I must have been in high school. And I was like, who is that? Like, forget the movie. Like, who's singing that song? Yeah. Her voice is so arresting. Like, you can't really like get it out of your head,
Yeah. Well, we were talking about, being on the edge and being dangerous. I mean, Bondage Up Yours in 1977 or whatever it was. I mean, there you go.
It's funny to me that we have to keep saying the same shit all the time.
Well, yeah.
It's 2022 and we're still like, at least in the States, we're fighting abortion laws. It's crazy.
I can't believe that,
I can't either.
It's very different. I got to say, when I moved to New Zealand, which was in 94, almost immediately I realized watching the American news from outside of the country was a whole different experience, a whole different perspective. Yeah. And it was just right when OJ was racing down this, a week after I got here, OJ was, being followed by helicopters down the street and stuff. And it was just like, what kind of place is that? And I lived there all my whole life. Yes. It never ceases to amaze.
It's dramatic. Americans are very dramatic. I'm American. I'm pretty dramatic too. I'm not even going to excuse myself.
Fair enough. No, same here.
I don't know what like my version of Shilpa would be like in a calmer country. I have no idea. I probably drink at the same cafe every day and look at the sun or something. I don't know. What would I do?
Alrighty, now you, as I mentioned, you have a song called "Bootlickers of the Patriarchy," and my understanding is it was inspired by a senator. Is
Yes, yeah, Senator Susan Collins.
I see a kissing acid, social climbing through the masses, smashing a vision. You're so petrified of, you think you can sell solidarity. Well, bitch, don't patronize me. You held a press conference the day you sold your sisters out.
During the Kavanaugh trials, she was one of the last holdouts for saying what her vote was going to be,
right?
In order, if she was going to get Kavanaugh in or not.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of political drama. I will hold my press conference at 3:00.
Yeah.
And she made it as if like she was going to announce something huge, but what she just did was pretty much sell out a lot of women.
Right.
And it really put a bad taste in my mouth, but it's not something new. I mean, historically, women have also taken on roles of upholding the patriarchy and upholding the system as is because they're comfortable,
Yeah.
They don't have to fight for those things because they're fine with where they're at. They're fine with being a beta or a gamma or however, they want to. Aldous Huxley would probably call it a gamma.
Right.
Right. Because they categorized all this stuff. There's so much in that book, by the way.
I'm sure.
It's like blows my mind that something that's science fiction or like the dystopic novel is like it's what's happening in reality. But yeah, that's been around for a very long time, and I just wanted to address that. I mean, it could be about the senator. It could be about some girl who stole your man. I mean, it could be about anybody.
Yep.
It's like. Yep. It's one of those things. It's like you're that person. You're just following the system and you're ruining people's lives. And I wanted to point that out.
Cool. And it rocks out, especially as it goes along. So that's a good thing always. So tell me a little bit about how it came together in the studio, working with your band or whoever's playing with you on this thing.
We did a bunch of live takes per track. And then we added, basically Jeff and I went back in and added the things that would make it sound more close to the sonic landscape that I wanted it to sound like, because I don't have 8 arms. So I was not able to play keys and play synth at the same, you know what I mean? Like there was a whole other world we had to explore using the original beds or the live beds that we were tracking. I liked doing it that way because it didn't take too much of my sound away from itself. I think if I had done it a little differently, it wouldn't have been a Shilpa Ray record. And I really wanted to preserve some of the aspects that makes it my stuff as opposed to something else. But the journey of doing, I had a crash course on synth because I'm a piano player, play organ or piano or play harmonium. Right. They're very organic instruments. So this was the first time I had to like learn how to dial sounds in, learn what the shapes of the waves are, because that's what comes across on record. That's all synth stuff. Synth is more about turning the knobs and making the texture happen rather than actually playing. So you play less, but you have to know a lot about the engineering of how to get the sound.
Yes. Which sadly, if they're doing it live for the audience, isn't that exciting to watch?
No, it's not.
You get to see Elton John pounding on his keys.
Yeah, you want
to
see that
Kraftwerk going.
Turning a knob.
Oh well.
But I had a great time learning stuff. I had a great time like experimenting with different voicings, learning things about different keyboards.
Right.
It was we had a wonderful time. I had so much fun with Jeff working on. I played, a drum machine for the first time and kind of took to it. Like I understood how a Lindrum works and stuff. It was a huge learning experience for me. And I loved that aspect of it for sure.
Now, there's 2 songs, Male Feminist and Two-Faced Lovers, which I may have sensed a connection with a song called Love is Strange by Mickey and Sylvia being referenced.
Yeah, how you call your how you call your lover boy, yeah.
I'm kind of a 50s record geek, so I picked up on that. I just couldn't help but having to mention that. So are you aware of all that stuff? Or do you listen to
Yeah,
it?
of course. Yeah. And I love things like that.
Now, how you call your two-faced lover boy?
Male feminist.
Life's so fun when you're progressive and the system works in your favor. A male feminist can't convince me of your conviction, son. Pick up lines with delusional behavior. A silver fox on a silver soapbox has ruined you. Ball gags are silver spoons.
I love when you kind of, as a singer, break the mystique and just start talking, you know. Right. That's one of my favorite things about listening to records too, is like how all the different ways you can use your voice and communicate things you want to do. I mean, I've been singing since I was 6 years old, so just singing for me is boring at this point.
Right.
So yeah, why not take it to a different level? Why not have some fun with this and like laugh about some of the aspects, even though the subject is so dark. I wanted to do something kind of zany, and I had a great time. I had a great time experimenting with where I could go with that, or like the elements of how, you know, what to do with that for sure.
Now, did you just do a series of gigs recently?
Yeah, we went out on tour with this Canadian band called July Talk, who are amazing, like really amazing live. So cool to watch, so positive, like great attitudes, just great people. And it was fun. I had a great time. I mean, I was not used to touring after 3 years of not doing it.
Right.
Or all the things you're supposed to know and have done, like, you know, in advance. Like, oh God, that was nuts. Like, right. I forgot how to order t-shirts or something. It was crazy. Yeah, like every van was rented out because everybody's on the road right now because it's your chance to be on the road.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff, it was really stressful. But once we got there, once everything kind of fell into place and you were just in a different city every night, that's when I was like, I feel like myself again. I hate being stationed in one place. I like traveling a lot. So I had a great time.
Cool. And were you playing in front of your own audience or another band's audience?
It's a mix of both. And I love that. I love converting people too. I love that look when you get on stage and people are like, it's the opening act.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my God, this band, you know, like that. That is my favorite moment where you can just turn the audience when they don't really know what's going to happen to them, you know. Okay. I had that experience. We opened for Chick 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 in Brooklyn. And it's a very dancey sort of crowd. Yeah. And he took one look at us and they're like, I don't know about this. And I just remember like, we converted them in like three right. songs or something. And it was just a great feeling to have. So
yeah. Here's one you can dance to. It's called Lawsuits and Suicide.
Suicide, yeah.
Man, oh man. And I think I saw that you used to, and I don't know if you still do, cover a song by the Poppy Family called Where Evil Grows.
Evil Grows, yeah.
Which I have the single in the other room. Because they were Canadian brother and sister act, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. It's Terry Jacks.
And Susan Jacks.
Susan Jacks, yeah. Yeah. That was a crazy pop band. They had a lot of cool stuff. I mean, They had a sitar player in their band. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, I got exposed to that through my friend Andy Haynes, who's a DJ in New York, and he would spin it at the bar I worked at. And I was like, oh my God, what is this song? I gotta cover it. Yeah. And I just took to it. I love that song so much. It's so great.
They had another hit, Which Way You Going, Billy? Do you know that one?
Oh yeah. I know about this too. Yeah.
Anyway, I could go on. All right, one more song I want to talk about. Heteronormative Horseshit Blues, which there's a video for.
Every time I see that look in your eyes, you're poison to me, making me live through this fake fantasy. When I was born, I was already formed, you're useless to me.
think about visualizing these songs when you?
Yeah, totally. So I came up with the characters and I kind of let Amos go to town because I was like, well, this is what we can do with these two characters. But I wanted to build a story in a more abstract way that implied tension rather than like an actual story, which was very different than doing Lawsuits and Suicide, which was a little more concrete in imagery.
Yep.
But yeah, again, he just put this beautiful imagery against it, and it was just so gorgeous. And sharing the songs and the lyrics with him and having him interpret like what that's gonna be was just such a thrill. So it had like all these wild sort of, again, like a very Lynchian sort of feel to it.
Well, as mentioned, I'm just looking at my notes. I wrote very Twin Peaks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Lynch an influence? Obviously.
Yeah, I remember someone was asking me if I watched Twin Peaks, and I did growing up because I had a dance teacher who, when I was 9, told me about this show called Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Because she wanted, like, I love it when adults are like, I don't care if you're a kid, you're going to like what I like.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this show, Twin Peaks? It was so weird from a 9-year-old's perspective.
Oh my God, it must have messed it.
I was just like, colors.
Yeah.
Like there's pie.
There is pie. That's true.
Log. Yeah, like it was weird. It was kind of like Muppets, but something I knew I was not supposed to like watch as a 9-year-old.
Yep. That's usually the good stuff. I remember my older daughter when she first started, she was like 12 and we were listening to Leonard Cohen, I'm Your Man album. And she got really into it at 12. And I'm talking to my wife and I'm going, is this a good thing? Is this going to mess her up for her? She's 42 now and buying the Nick Cave album down the street. So there's your answer.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Yeah. That's wild. Yeah. You never know. Like there will be times where like someone will send me a video of their 5-year-old dancing to EMT Police in the fire department.
Right.
And like kids love that song because it has a police and a fire
department. Sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, do your kids know what I'm really talking about?
Yeah, well, they'll learn.
They'll learn eventually, yeah.
All righty, very good. So what are you thinking about doing next? Have you got a plan?
Yeah, I've been working on some new songs, and I'm sort of going back to where I came from in a lot of ways, but kind of seeing like how that's gonna go. Yeah, not keeping such a stone, like a very hard concept in mind, because this was very.
Yep.
This was something that was it was calculated. Like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want it to sound like. This is the vision board of music that I'm trying to like take, different swatches from.
Yep.
And right now I'm just writing songs and having a good time writing songs and then seeing like later where it's going to go instead of having some kind of concept in advance. So.
Excellent. Well, good luck on the release day. 29th is coming up.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. And come down to New Zealand and entertain us sometime if you like.
Yeah, I want to. I want to come down to New Zealand. That sounds like fun.
Excellent. Well, have a great day. And
you too.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.